Hi everybody, welcome to Live Blogger. In this tutorial series, we are creating this box shadow generator using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. And in the previous video, we started with the HTML and this is how it looks. We can see all the elements are added to our web page. Now in this video, we will style it using CSS and we'll make it look like this. So let's get started. Alright, this is our source code, and before getting started with the CSS, I just want to make a correction in the HTML. So if you go back to our website, here we can see for the X offset and the Y offset, we are setting a min value of 0. So here we can see in the X offset we have set a min value of 0, but X offset can also have negative values, and so does the Y offset. So let's go ahead and change the min value to -50. And we'll do the same for the Y offset. We will change this to -50, and the blur radius does not have any negative values, so everything looks alright. Right now let's go to our CSS and let's start styling this. So we have already linked our CSS file over here, so let's go to the style.css file, and the first thing we will do is style the h1. So here we can see we have this h1 with this heading, so let's target that. Let's tap h1, and we will set the font family to Roboto sans serif, and we'll also set the font weight to 100, and let's set the text align to center, and here we can see this is our heading. Now let's style the box shadow generator. So if you go back to our index.html file, here we can see we have this division with the class of box shadow generator. So let's target this class. Here I'll just tab .box shadow generator, and here also we will set the font family to Roboto and sans serif, and we will set the width to 800 pixels, and let's also add a box shadow, and we'll set the values to 0, 0, 40 pixels, -8 pixels, RGBA, 0, 0, 0 and 0.3. Now let's go back to our website, and we don't have the box shadow added, so here we have a typo. We need to type RGBA. Right now we can see we have this width of 800 pixels for the box shadow generator. Now let's bring it to the center. So let's type margin, and for top and bottom we'll just set it to 0, and for left and right we'll set it to auto. Alright, now the next thing we will do is we'll position all the controls on the left and the result on the right. So here we can see we have all the controls on the left, and here we have this box, this code and this generate button. So if you go back to our index.html file, here we can see inside the box shadow generator we have this division with the class of controls, and then we have another division with the class of result. So let's add a display of flex to this box shadow generator. So here I'll just type display of flex, and now we can see we have all the controls on the left and the result on the right. We'll also type justify content to space between, and now we can see we have this space between these two elements, and we'll also align items to the center so that they are vertically centered. Now let's set the box sizing to border box for all the elements so that we have the correct height and width. So we will select the box shadow generator and also all the elements inside the box shadow generator. So here I'll just tap asterisk, and here I'll just tap box sizing border box. Alright, now let's add some styles to these controls. So for the controls we have a division with the class of controls. So let's tap box shadow generator controls, and we will set a padding of 8 pixels, and we'll set a width of 300 pixels. Alright, now let's style these headings inside the controls. So here we can see we have this h2 for the headings. So let's type box shadow generator controls h2, and let's set the font size to 18 pixels. We'll set the margin to 4 pixels top and bottom, and 0 for left and right, and we'll set the font weight to normal. Right now let's add some spacing between these groups. So if you go back to our HTML file, here we can see we have this division with the class of group, and in that we have the h2 and the input field. The same we have for all the input tags. So let's target this group division. So here I'll just tap box shadow generator controls group, And let's set a padding of 12 pixels top and bottom and 24 pixels left and right. And we'll set a margin of 8 pixels and 0. Right now the next thing we need to do is we need to position these two controls one next to the other. So if you go back to our HTML file, here we can see for that we have a division with the class of container, and in that we have these two groups. So let's target this container. So here I'll just type box shadow generator, controls, container, and let's set the display to flex so that the elements are one next to the other. And we'll also set justify content to space between. Right now we can see these two elements are one next to the other. Right now let's style these sliders, and we will increase the width to 100%. So let's go back, and if you go back to our HTML file, here we can see for all these sliders we have a class of control. So let's target the control class. So here I'll just type box shadow generator, controls, control, and we'll set the width to 100%. And now we can see we have 100% width for all these sliders. Now let's also increase the width and the height of this color. So for the color we have this input field with a type of color. So let's target that. Here I'll just type box shadow generator, controls, input with a type of color, and let's set the width to 60 pixels, and let's set the height to 30 pixels, and that looks alright. Right now let's style the result division. So here we can see we have this division with the class of result. So let's target that. Here I'll just type box shadow generator, result, and we'll set the display to flex, and we'll also type flex direction to column, and we'll also bring everything to the center. So let's type align items to the center, and let's also add a padding of 24 pixels, and we'll set the flex to 1 so that it will take up the maximum space it can. Alright, now let's style the box. So here we can see we have this division with the class of box. So let's type box shadow generator, result, box, and let's set the width and the height to 240 pixels, and we'll set the background color to white, and let's also add a box shadow by default. So if you go back to our HTML file, here we can see for the X offset we have a value of 0, for the Y offset we have a value of 0, for the blur radius we have a value of 6, and for the spread radius we have a value of 0, and for the opacity we have a value of 0.3, and the color is set to black by default. So let's go back over here, and let's set the values to 0 for X and Y offsets, and for the blur radius we have a value of 6, and then we have 0 for spread radius, and for the color we will type RGBA 000, and the opacity is set to 0.3. So here we can see we have the box. Now let's add a margin bottom for this box. So here I'll just type margin bottom, and let's set it to 50 pixels. Right now let's style this button. Now we'll position this button relative to this box shadow generator. So for that let's go back over here to the box shadow generator, and here we'll set the position to relative, and let's go back over here, and for the button we have a class of generate code button. So here I'll just type box shadow generator, result, generate code button, and we'll set the position to absolute, and we'll set the bottom position to 8 pixels and the right position to 8 pixels. So now we can see that the button is positioned correctly. Now let's add a padding, and let's set it to 12 pixels top and bottom, and 48 pixels left and right, and let's set the font size to 18 pixels, and let's set the font weight to bold, and let's remove the border. So I'll just have border of none, and let's add a background color of E63946, and let's set the color of the text to white, and we'll also set the cursor to pointer. So now everything is styled correctly. Right, so that's basically it with this video, and in the next video I'll show you how to add the JavaScript to make it work. So if you have any doubts you can ask in the comments below, and if you like this video please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel to get the latest video updates. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day.